Hey guys, welcome back to our study, Unchained, Living Free from Surprisingly Common Addictions. This week we're discussing Chapter 6, Keeping Up Appearances. In this chapter, we'll examine our deeply human need for approval and praise. How can we retrain our hearts to seek God's approval over man's approval? To value fear of God over fear of man? Let's find out.
You always got to be something. There's always somebody looking at you, whether it's somebody that's, ooh, her kids eat organic, or, ooh, my kids eat off the floor, or, there's always somebody looking at you. You feel like you're being constantly judged. And I think that trying to meet all those expectations, you can really wear yourself down and get caught up in how everybody else thinks about you instead of what you really should be thinking about. And that's the approval, obviously, from the Lord.
I work from home. I am a hairdresser, and I have a little salon in my house. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom, so that was the way I was raised, was a mom who cooked dinner every night, who had the house perfectly clean. Our beds were always made because she did it. She loaded the dishwasher. She was super mom, and I am not. I am unorganized. I'm a mess half the time. Like, my motto is hot mess mama, because that's what I am. And cooking is a struggle. My life goal is to be the grandma that my grandkids are like, I want to go to Mimi's house and eat dinner. And right now I'm failing in that department. And my house is not clean. It's not as clean as I'd like it to be. And it's just hard to balance being a good wife and exceeding these expectations that my husband have.
The world is coming at you hard and telling you you're not enough, and you're not doing enough, you're not, succeeding enough, you're not achieving enough. And that can be an ugly thing, and it can take many different forms. And I think because it's coming at us so much from the world, we internalize that, and then we beat ourselves up, and we do it to ourselves. And the truth is, nobody's perfect, and that's probably the point. We shouldn't be doing that. If we were perfect, we don't need Christ.
I put a lot of pressure on myself. I have a lot of support. I have great support from mother and grandmother. My husband is a great support system. I have tons of friends who are always like, let me come over and help with the kids, or send Paxton over to play. And but you just feel like you have to do everything yourself. And I think I think society puts that on us as women, that we should be able to keep a clean home, to have dinner cooked, to have our kids taken care of, and to work. And if you don't work, you should be able to do all those things perfectly. And if you do work, you should be able to do all those things perfectly. And it's unrealistic, and it creates this burden on ourselves that I think that the Lord doesn't want us to feel that way. He doesn't want us to feel like we're being crushed by the pressures of society.
Sometimes I personally struggle with making sure I can balance my time, because I do seek the approval of my husband. I do want that, because a long time ago it was just he and I, and obviously I wanted his approval, I wanted his love, and I wanted, it was just the two of us. So every day I'd wait for him to come home and make sure I look good, and blah blah. Now it's just like, hey honey, hey, here's the kid, But now it's shifted from me wanting his approval as a wife more to his approval to me as a mother.
I think as a pastor's wife, I have had years to kind of grow into that. And I think in the beginning there was a lot of pressure to be a certain way. And I think some of it I created in my mind, that I'm supposed to know my Bible cover to cover, which I don't. And I'm supposed to be able to sing, which I can't. And I'm supposed to be able to speak in front of people, which I hate. All these things, I do not fit that mold. But I've come to realize that it's okay. I don't have to fit that mold. God has put me in this position for some crazy reason, and I've just got to learn to stay in my lane and not try to be someone that I'm not. This is who I am. And I think as I've grown into it, I've found a lot of freedom. I think as followers of Christ, we need to learn to find our identity in who He created us to be, not in what we do. It's really easy to find your identity in what you do. So whether it's your daily, your job, whether that's going to work, whether it's staying at home, whether it's working from home, whatever that may be as a woman, that's not your identity. It may be what you do and it may be where God has you, but it's not who you are. And I think we need to go back to the Bible and really kind of zero in on God created us each uniquely, individually, with different gifts and talents. And it's really easy to get down on ourselves and start to bash those things when we feel like, whether it's how we feel or whether what the world's telling us, we're not enough, but we are enough. And the reason we're enough is because we have the Holy Spirit, because we have Christ to cover all the places where we're really not.
Hey guys, and welcome to week 6 of our Unchained series. As human beings, we are relational creatures. We were designed for family, for friendship, for community, and it's something we all crave on some level. It's completely natural for us to desire the approval and acceptance of others and to want to belong. But where do we draw the line? I mean, we all like to be liked, but where does seeking the approval of others become detrimental to our lives? An easy question we can ask ourselves to gauge where we are on the approval spectrum is this: am I trying to connect, or am I seeking my identity? Do I enjoy this relationship, or do I desperately need this relationship? Do I just like getting the approval of others, or does my world revolve around getting this approval? Now, granted, those aren't always questions we can give a definite yes or no to all of the time. So often it's honestly about evaluating our hearts and saying, I tend to lean in this direction, or I'm more on this end of the spectrum. I think there are a couple of other really good questions we can ask ourselves to determine if we've gone from a natural, God-given desire to have friends and live in community to being addicted to the approval of others. The first question we can ask is this: am I allowing the approval or rejection by others to determine my emotional status? Now, I don't mean just feeling bad when someone has criticized you. That is a natural, almost instantaneous reaction. If a friend or classmate or coworker says something mean to you or says something about you behind your back, you cannot help but feeling angry or sad, at least for a little while. But does this emotion stick with you for a really long time? Are you so desperate to be liked by others that if you're not liked by someone, you sink into a funk for days or weeks or even longer? Are you allowing the actions of others to dictate how you feel? Then here's the second question, and this may be even more revealing than the first. Does my need for approval dictate the decisions I'm making? Am I willing to go against my standards to be liked by others? Or even if it's not a moral issue, am I more prone to follow the will of others than I am God's will for my life? Answering those questions will help us determine where we are on the spectrum. Are we simply desiring community and friendship? Or have we drifted so far to the other side that we have become addicted to the approval of others? That is what you'll discuss in your groups during this session, and I hope you have a great meeting.